Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking about some lovely historic London homes from the website Inigo Homes. You might have heard of their sister real estate website, The Modern House, which also has a YouTube channel where they showcase some really beautiful homes all across the UK. Paige Wassell, I think a couple of years ago, did a video about the homes that they sell, but one of the websites that I really love is their sister company, which, as I said, specializes in historic homes. So according to their own website, it says that they specialize in selling beautiful historic homes. We represent houses and apartments of all sizes and across all price ranges. At the less expensive end, we might offer an apartment in a converted Victorian terrace, while at the higher end, we might market a large Georgian stately home or a former. And I wanted to talk about some of these houses because I think that they are really beautiful, and I would love to live in one of these homes. I don't know if I would ever be able to afford to do so, but I thought that I would talk about them today and talk about what makes these homes look so nice and kind of different from other homes on the market. I'm actually gonna remember to move to the side, which I never do in my videos, so I can actually put the pictures on the side here. So I'm going to be looking at homes in London because that's where I live, and I think that that would be particularly interesting to people who live in a city, and I'm marking the price at £800,000 maximum, which is obviously loads of money, but I think is kind of indicative of what couples in London are looking for, which kind of sucks. Like, I know a lot of people who really want to stay in London and build a life in London, but it's just like not realistic with how property prices are. And so I think if you want like a nice 1 to 2 bedroom in London, that a lot of the time people are looking between like 500 to 800,000 pounds. That's not always the case. Like, you can get nice houses for less than that, like the place that I live in now that my flatmate owns. But the point of this is to fantasize about these nice houses, not that we actually think we're going to be able to live in them. So the first one I want to talk about is this new listing, which is in Southeast London. And if we look at the floor plan here, I really hope this is screen recording. Okay, so we can see that this is a first floor flat with a kitchen / reception room area and then 2 bedrooms. This is a 55 square meter flat, which I think is pretty standard for London sizes, but I think if you live elsewhere other than like New York, you would think that this is quite small. But now onto the photos. So I think part of what makes these houses so nice is the photography and is the natural lighting. A lot of the time, I think these houses are just as nice as a house that you would find on like a regular real estate site, but a lot of this is like the styling. So I want to talk about how I think your regular home could be upgraded to look like these homes due to the styling. So if we look at this first picture, I think the most obvious thing that looks nice within it is the fact that it has this gorgeous fireplace that I assume is original to the home. And I think it has like really beautiful detailing on the sides with these curves, and how the white, presumably stone or marble, contrasts with the inside black metal of this fireplace. I think what also looks really nice here is the almost symmetrical storage, but as you can see, this doesn't actually look built in, and I think would be something that's relatively easy to do in your own house. Like, this is just a wall mounted cupboard with like some vintage glassware displayed inside, and then a storage thing that looks like it could be IKEA because it doesn't look built in, like it doesn't stretch all the way to the mantle. But I think it looks like it could be built in because it's been painted the exact same color as the walls behind it. So I think that that's a good tip to make something look more like it was built for your space, is to make it the same color as the space it's in. And then on the other side, we have some bookshelves that again don't look fully built in because they don't go all the way to the top of the ceiling. But I think that these kind of additions would be very easy to do with like IKEA furniture, and then you can just change the knobs to be a bit more vintage inspired. So on the left, we can see like the mismatched knobs, and I think it's not exactly symmetrical, but your eye is kind of tricked into it looking symmetrical because of the 2 big pieces of storage on either side of the fireplace. And then we just have some really simple furniture. I think what also looks nice about this image is this weird frog art on the side of the wall, and I think that having like fun, quirky art is a really good way to make a house look styled. This is just the exterior bits. So I think another reason why these houses look so nice is that there's a lot of natural light available. Like there's a huge window here, and I think it's really easy to look at pictures and be like, wow, this is beautiful. But what makes it beautiful is that there's a lot of sunlight coming through. I really like how this has been styled very simply, like just 2 wooden chairs, a wooden table, and then quite sculptural looking flowers. And I really like how they just have a lot of weird random art. Like this looks like a radish or something small on the wall. Like the art doesn't have to be extravagant to be interesting. I just think it has to be personal and not like a basic print that you could find off of like H&M Home. There's a lot of greenery in this space as well, and I think that these plants look really beautiful and add like that nature that you can see from the outside inside the house. And I think what also makes this house look nice is the use of natural materials. Like there's a lot of wood, a lot of textiles that really warm up the space, whereas if it was all kind of painted or metal, I think it wouldn't have like that coziness that you can see in the photos. I think the stained glass, if you've watched my previous video, you know I like a stained glass, and the powder blue door makes it much more inviting. These are just some other angles. And then similarly, you can see the kitchen is in these kind of warm neutrals that blend in with the rest of the space. And I think having these warm neutrals in place that are all kind of the same color makes the space look bigger than it is. And again, we have the natural textures and the weird, small, quirky art, which looks quite nice. And there seems to be a washer and a dryer, which is very rare in London flats. Again, you can just see what makes this look nice is like the natural light coming through and the way that it's been styled. Again, like the bedrooms are very simple. The furniture doesn't look particularly built in, but there is like a lot of sunlight coming through, which is rare in London. And so I think they've really maximized it here. This is the second bedroom. And again, there's like lots of small weird art. I think what makes this flat look so nice is that the art is really original and clearly unique to the owners or like whoever lives here now. Whereas like the space itself is kind of just like any other flat. The bathroom is probably my least favorite part of the house, which I assume is why it's kind of lost in the pictures. There's like a big crack that you can see here that needs to be fixed. And this is like a very old style of way of flushing, but I think this is cool. Like when I was a kid, if I'd go to a restaurant where you can pull the flush on the toilet, I always thought that that was interesting, and I like how they've kept that historic detail. So according to the description, this has been a newly renovated 2-bedroom Victorian apartment, and new double glazed sash windows were added, which is good because a lot of the time in these older houses, they can be very cold because the windows haven't been updated. And basically it just describes like the rest of this area and how everything's been painted in like this soft sage green and white. And so I think that this is a really lovely historic home and is in like a nice green area. So moving on to the next house. This one is in Camden in Northwest London, and this is a very different type of house. So similarly, this is a Victorian style house in a very different area of London. This was part of a planned development in the 1840s to 1880s, and this house is like super, super different, but I think also really interesting way of preserving the features but adding your own style. So as you can see, this house is way more colorful. It's not necessarily my taste, but I like that in both of these houses you can see the owner's taste through their art style being depicted. So I love how they chose like this very quite girly pink on the walls, but contrasted it with a lot of interesting patterns and shapes. I love the textile that they have on the wall, or this tapestry I think is really beautiful. And I think a good tip is that big art is really expensive, whereas a tapestry or a small piece of wallpaper or a rug or something like that is often more inexpensive than like mural wallpaper. And I think they've chosen like really interesting sconces, really interesting lamps. Like there's just a lot going on in this picture. I'm not a fan of the rug and the curtains, but I like that they chose something different. And I love these windows, like with the arch between them. Again, lots of natural light. I love how they've like mixed different patterns and different scale of patterns. So there's like a really big geometric pattern on the rug, kind of medium-sized pattern on the armchair, and small pattern on the curtains. And I think that's like the best way of mixing patterns is these are all kind of different shades of green, so they go together in that way, but they're all different scale of pattern. And I love how on the table they have like this red vase on a red table with red flowers. So even though there's kind of a lot going on in this space, these kind of all work well together. So obviously this person loves color, and in this kitchen they've painted it bright red. Again, I don't know if it's like 100% my style, but I like that they've put something new and interesting in there, and I like the little pops of other colors they have in here. So clearly they love this green color, which you can see in both the curtains and the lamp. And again, like you can just see lots of different art and like new and interesting things being added. And so I think that painting your kitchen cupboards is like a really good way of making it new and different. I personally wouldn't paint like nice wooden cabinetry, but if you just have like plain MDF cupboards, so like in our kitchen we just had like MDF or like not very high quality veneer cupboards, and we painted them blue, and I love how they look. And I think if you don't have like high quality wood materials, it can look really nice just to change out the color of the cabinetry, change out the color of the knobs. And I just really like how there's like so much personality in this kitchen. Like I don't really know why there's a triangle on top, but it's probably to hide like an extractor fan of some variety or like some kind of piping. And there's like all these details on top of the cabinetry, and I just think it's cool to like experiment with not just new colors, but also with new shapes. Similarly, their bedroom, oh, is this the only picture? Let's see if there's a better picture. Okay, maybe not. So this bedroom, they have a very similar design to the living room. Like I like how, even though it's a different space with like different patterns, you can see that pink and green theme carry throughout, sorry. And it seems like this wallpaper matches the headboard, and I think that that's like really cool and interesting, like something a little bit different. Again, they have like a more geometric pattern on the cushion and a more floral pattern in the headboard, and it's just nice to see like lots of interesting textures and lamps and things like that, and really like maximizing this older space. They have a balcony. I think like these chairs and tables like very classic for a London small balcony to like maximize the weather. And I often think they're not very comfortable, but London doesn't get that much nice weather, so I don't know how often you're going to be out there, realistically. This, I don't understand what's happening in this hallway at all, and I kind of love it. Like, I can't tell if this is just like wallpaper on the door, which kind of looks 3D, but it's actually just wallpaper. Again, it's like not necessarily my style. My hand is literally shaking from holding the laptop. We're switching hands. It's not necessarily my style, but I like how they've like mixed lots of different historical eras, and they've just like tried to do something different and interesting. And like this floor just looks like not very good veneer gray floor, but like you wouldn't even notice because there's so much going on the walls. And I like how they weren't afraid to put art on top of textured wallpaper, and like more wallpaper on top of what looks to be storage doors, and like a new piece of lighting. Like I just like how they've experimented, even if it's not to my taste. I think this is the other side of the hallway, and you can kind of see the motifs in the wallpaper more clearly. And I just like how they weren't afraid to mix, you know, different framed, like some of these look like postcards, some like posters, some maps, a mirror, like this top of a Roman pillar thing, another bust at the top. Like it's just cool that they weren't afraid to kind of go maximalist with it. And then this is the kitchen and the dining table, and they've like really carried this pink paint throughout, which I think is a nice way to make it consistent throughout the house despite all of the other many things that are going on. And I just love how it clearly like represents things that the owners like and isn't so concerned with like resale value. Like you can see something from, I assume that's Edinburgh Fringe Festival in the corner. I love how they have like this random glass bowl of lemons that matches with the lamp. Like the glass of the lamp base is reflected in the bowl, and the yellow of the lemons is reflected in the lampshade. Like it feels like, even though it's not my taste, that it's been really considered. And like I like how this rug is a very similar style to the rug in the living room, and that one's pink and green to match the living room, and this one's pink and yellow to match the kitchen. And I just like how they've clearly thought about like repeating patterns and repeating colors throughout the house to make it consistent, but still have each room look quite different. Again, this is another view of the tapestry, which is probably my favorite thing that they have in the house. And there's just like so many weird bits and bobs. Like I love the symmetry that they've put around this mirror, even though I wouldn't choose any of these pieces myself. Like I just love that you can see they didn't want like a plain white house. They were like, we're gonna keep all these original features, like the beautiful molding and like this fireplace space, and everything like that. And like the big windows and the curves and the arches, like that looks so nice. But then they're like, we're just gonna do whatever we want with the space, which I think is really fun. I love this office space. I love anywhere with like a nook that has been utilized, and I love seeing like people who clearly actually read books. Like these are not just placed there for aesthetic purposes. Like some of them are cookbooks, some of them are fiction, some nonfiction. I particularly love the really old desk that they've chosen with a very modern architect style lamp. Like this little nook I think is like my favorite room in the house. And you can see again like lots of natural light coming through. Another big piece of art. I think like you can still really see their personality while having the functionality of like book storage and a desk that they can do work on. Oh, they do show another view of the bedroom, and I think it looks really cozy. Like not only do they have curtains over the window, but it's kind of like a canopy bed situation where there's curtains on top. Someone actually suggested that I do this in my bedroom in my last video, which I thought was an interesting idea. But again, like it's not really my style, but I just love the coziness and like how they've tried to make it really homey and like their space by putting all these curtains. And I think it's been done very well. Like the pleats fall so nicely. And it just looks like a cozy princess fun space. Like you can see a lot about the owner's personality here. And I really like that you can kind of tell exactly who they are from these pictures. Like this just looks so cute, and like I love how the sconces come through the curtains. Like I just think that's fun to have like the lamps on the outside, and then if you want reading lights on the inside. I just love how they were like, we are going to show our style and do whatever we want with the space. Again, in the bathroom, like so many interesting choices. Like there's plants on the ceiling, there's green, there's yellow, there's pink. Like the same kind of repeating colors throughout the space are super interesting. And again, I think probably similar to the first one, like this is quite a small flat, 64 square meters. It's all open plan. There's like a terrace outside, but I think what makes it special and like to be listed on this website is like how crazy they've gone with the design while still respecting the Victorian style of the space. I realize I've already been talking for so long, so we're gonna try to not look at too many. Another one I want to talk about that I've actually shown in a previous video is a house that has been listed on here for ages and has not been sold. Where is this house? Maybe, oh no, it has been sold. I've been looking at this house for ages and I've just seen that it's sold. So I think that this house is beautiful, and I have like shown this house on my videos before, but it's near where I used to work, which I think is quite a nice area. And I've shown this image specifically on my channel before because I loved the stained glass in the kitchen. What I love about this kitchen is there's like this colorfulness from like the accessories, like the stained glass, the yellow olive oil, this painting of lemons. And I particularly love what I assume, but I could be wrong, is a picture drawn by their children that has like been matted and framed in a way that looks very artistic and professional, and it just adds like life and hominess into the space. I'm so pro including like art made by your friends. Like our gallery wall that you can see behind me is like all art done by our friends, and I just think it like adds joy to the space. If you've watched my channel before, you would know that I'm kind of anti open shelving because I think it gets dusty and it's like hard to use your stuff, but I like how they've done it not just like individual vintage glassware, but it's like clearly a stack of plates and bowls that they actually use, and then there's still like this island storage space underneath. I think that if you don't have closed shelving, like you need to have an island, like you need to be realistic about the storage you should have in your kitchen. But I just love how warm this is. Again, lots of natural light, and like a lot of this is, as I said, like nice photography, but I like how the white is very warm. It's like more like a cream, and even though it's like mostly neutrals, it doesn't feel bland and boring because you have this color from lots of other areas. And I also like how like they have their kettle out, they have their dishwashing soap out, they have their toaster out. Like I don't think it's realistic to be in a home where everything is put away all of the time, because these are the things you're going to use every day. So I love this kitchen. Like that's 100% my favorite part of the house. And then what's also really nice is this dining area goes into an outdoor area, which is rare in London. I love how they have these like prints on the wall. Again, it's like interesting art that you can tell that the owner or whoever is living here like genuinely likes. Like you can see a kind of consistency throughout their style. A little bar cart. I would never have a bar cart in my home because I don't really drink. And so I think a bar cart is one of those things you see on social media that you might feel like you need, but if you don't really drink and don't host parties where people drink, you don't need a bar cart. You can just store your bottles in your cupboard. But if these people do host a lot, and like this is a perfect space for hosting because of the outdoor area, I like how the bar cart like does fit exactly in that small nook. And I really like this lamp. I think it's really interesting. I love particularly the base and like the wooden texture of it. I feel like the head, what is this called? Shade, not head, is like quite small for it, but maybe that's just me. But yeah, I love like this natural transition from indoor to outdoor. The living room, again, like I really like the layered, like they have a more traditional lamp and then a very modern lamp. They have like this linen looking sofa with like a different textured throw pillow, and then this interesting art. Again, there's like pattern on the curtain. It's just a lot of not being afraid to like mix patterns, mix colors, make weird choices, and I like that a lot. I think the outdoor space is like really beautiful and like such a nice location. And I think like having this be your entrance, like seeing the stained glass as soon as you come in is so nice. Again, there's like so many pictures of the kitchen because I think it's the nicest part of the house. And then I am a sucker for like built-in bookshelves like this. I don't know why it disappears on one of the pictures, but anyway, this built-in bookshelf situation around the TV, I love that. Like I love how, again, you can see that these are like books that they probably actually read, because I'm seeing books like Hamnet, Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. Maybe I just like their book taste, which is why I like the bookshelf situation. But yeah, like I love how they have kind of like a more old style dresser, and then like these more modern touches throughout the house, and just like that their bookshelf is actually used for books that they read. I'm really anti like bookshelves being styled with just like stuff. And then again in their bedroom they have way more bookshelves, and like you can clearly see that these are like pictures from their travels, and I just think that it looks really lived in and nice. I think like what makes the nicest homes is like it looks like people actually live there. The bedding is quite simple, but I like this kind of like greeny yellow chartreuse color. I think it's quite trendy at the moment, but I'm really into it. Like I think I just like the color that's kind of weird. Whereas like the bedding is like it has pattern, but it does seem quite neutral and a bit more matchy than other areas of the house. Like you can see this blue that exists in the painting, it exists in the matting over here, it exists in the sconce, the pillowcase, and this like small table that they have in the corner. And so I think in a bedroom particularly, having that more matching color scheme is probably more soothing. And the bathroom, I guess the bathroom must be the other side of the kitchen, which is where you can see the stained glass. Again, I think is quite peaceful. I think the tiles in the bathroom must also be the tiles in the kitchen backsplash. They look the same to me. Yeah, they are the same. And I kind of like that, like that it's probably cheaper to buy the same tiles rather than different tiles for your kitchen and your bathroom. And I like that, you know, they kind of reused it in both spaces. And then you can't really see it too well, but the bathroom floor tiles seem to look a bit older, and I kind of like that contrast between these are more like trendy, new type tiles, and then the bottom seems a bit older, and I like that they've kind of utilized both. Again, beautiful house. Like I've been obsessed with this house. Not that I would have the money to buy it, and I also think £650,000 for one bedroom is like so overpriced. And I think that's what the market thinks too, which is why it's like been listed for so long, but apparently it's now for sale, subject to contract. Apparently this is a 19th century red brick building with original features including doors and floorboards alongside reinstated paneling and cleverly concealed bespoke joinery with communal gardens. And the terrace has like lots of its own original features like Victorian street lamps over each doorway, and I really like how it emphasizes in the description that there's a real sense of community and has a shared outdoor space, which makes it an excellent spot for summer drinks or barbecues with neighbors and friends. And I'm just pro anywhere that like promotes community. And I just love this flat, and I'm really glad that someone bought it, even though I think it's really overpriced, because I just think it's like so beautiful. It is also, yeah, 56.7 square meters, so it's a lot of money for a small space, but I think that is often London prices, especially in more central areas. I realize that I've been talking for a very long amount of time, so I'm just going to talk through one more apartment, but I'll link the website below because I think it's like just really beautiful housing, and like I really like how all of them have preserved the original features of the houses. Like I love houses with character. I think there is something really beautiful about modern houses as well. Like I love the Modern House, their sister site, but I just love browsing these like older homes. So the last one I want to talk about is in Waterlow Court. First of all, I think the outside of this is so nice, like this very cottagey vibe, and it just feels, again, like I like anywhere that feels like a sense of community, and I think flats like this that are kind of more across and like I assume historically one big house. Let's read if it says anything. Yes, it's an arts and crafts development built in 1909, emphasis on natural materials, and it was like a courtyard setting next to Hampstead Heath. If you don't live in London, Hampstead Heath is like a very big greenery area in London. Oh, there's a history section. So apparently it was built to provide housing for single professional women, and it originally consisted of 49 flats. So obviously it was like for a group of women. I should have read the history sections, but I'll link all of these below so you can read the history sections yourself. But yeah, I feel like the way this building is designed is very communal, which makes sense given the history, and I just like buildings that are designed with that in mind, rather than like high-rise flats, which obviously serve the purpose of there are a lot of people that need housing in a densely populated city, but I think buildings built in this way foster a greater sense of community, and the same with the last one with like the shared outdoor spaces. So I also love this house. First thing I love about this house is the wood flooring. I think it looks so beautiful. Again, I think all of these houses like put a big emphasis on like very neutral but warm walls, and this is the only one I think we've seen today that also painted the ceilings, and I think it just brings a lot of coziness to the space. This is also a very cute cat, and I love the amount of natural materials in here. Like these look like bamboo blinds, and then like the wooden chairs, the wooden table, this huge monstera plant that I think is like so gorgeous and adds so much to the space. I love how they've like stacked books here because they presumably don't have enough space for books, and I love just seeing art in weird places as well. Like not only is there art around this dining nook, but there's also just like a random piece of art above it where I would never think to place art, and I just think that that's like cool and draws your eye up into a different area of the house. I love the contrast between like the wood and the brick in this kitchen with like the very stark black. I just think it's like super interesting. Another picture of their cat. Okay, let's go back to interiors. Can we see the kitchen? No. Okay, I assume we'll go back to the kitchen. But in this living room, again, I've shown this on my channel before because I think this fireplace is gorgeous. Like I love the tiles on here, like the butterflies and the flowers. I just think it looks so beautiful, like just a small piece of art there. And I love how they've like styled it on top with like whatever random thing. I kind of like that this plant is dying because, you know, it's hard to keep a plant alive. And I like that they've kind of shown this realistically. Maybe it's not dying. Maybe this is what this plant is supposed to look like. But I feel like it doesn't look in the best of health, but someone who knows more about plants can tell me in the comments below. But yeah, like they obviously like animals from what they've put up here, and I just like how it seems very random and mismatched. The one thing I will say is I don't like how low this TV is. Like that's not the right height for a TV to be, but I understand why they wouldn't, like it would be too high to put over the fireplace. I would just have mounted it up like a bit higher than it currently is, or put it on a stand so that they could like wheel it out when they want to watch TV and then put it on the side when they don't want it. That's like the one criticism I have here. Again, I think it's really funny how they like put art up really high close to the ceiling, like this stag head, and I just think that looks fun. Again, I like how they've like placed the study near a lot of natural light, and like you can see it's a desk that actually gets used with like 2 monitors and just like small weird art and like plants everywhere. I think the main theme in these houses that I've shown is that like they have art that's like actually important to the people living there. Okay, here we're seeing the kitchen again. I really like having pans and pots like easily accessible like this and not just stored away. And I really like how they've hung like their brushes and sponges up here for cleaning, so that they don't get like moldy and yucky. I just really like how this is styled. Like they aren't afraid to like have stuff out on the countertops. Again, like similarly, I like how this is clearly just like a tin can for utensils, but it fits all their utensils and works well. And they have like, again, like some weird random art next to this clock. Like I really like that. I went to this architect's house in Slovenia, and I'll put pictures here because I went on holiday to Slovenia very briefly. And he similarly had like random small photos above the staircase in like circles. I'll put a photo, but it just reminds me of this. And I think it just looks really cool here. And again, like you can see this fan, you can see all these random art prints, lots of plants. But in particular, I just like the way they have all the spices out. They have all their utensils in this pot. They have the knives out, because that's how people cook. Like you're not realistically going to put all of your stuff away. So I really like how it's out and ready to use next to the stove. This bedroom, I love how they have like all of these different paintings of, I assume, cities that are significant to them. The only thing is, with paintings over a bed like this, I would personally be scared that they're going to fall on me in the middle of the night. But I just like how they weren't so worried about like curating the perfect gallery wall. It's just like, yeah, we like all this art, so we're gonna smush it up together, and like it's above the door frame. I just like how they've, you know, put art in different places, and not been like such perfectionists about it. I guess this art is on the foot of the bed, so maybe I'd be less scared about it falling and crushing me in my sleep. But yeah, I just like the coziness of this bedroom. Like they've kept it very simple with the bedding, but there's a lot of different textures at play with like this wool blanket. And I like how the wool blanket doesn't look perfect. It's like bobbly and well used, and stuff is made to be used. And so yeah, I just like that you can clearly see the textures of like, I assume the duvet cover is like cotton or linen, and then this wool, and then the textures from the plants, and then the more like metal sconces above. I just think like that contrast in textures makes the houses more interesting. This bathroom, I think, has too many plants. I would feel overwhelmed by the amount of plants, but I suppose it's a good environment for their humidity. The bathroom, I think, is like the one thing I don't love, because I think there isn't enough space for stuff. Like I can't really see where they would put like toothbrush and toothpaste, or like this ledge I think would be perfect for like soap and stuff, but it's taken up by plants. And like, I do think it's cute and nice. Obviously they do have this other storage section for toiletries, but to me personally, I don't love when aesthetics gets in the way of functionality. And I think for me, there's just like too many things in this bathroom. But I do like the black contrasting with the more warm neutrals for the tiles around the shower. And I like how they like show that they actually have all their products out, and it's not just like styled and kept away. Again, I love like this bookshelf. Like you can see the cranes on the outside. Like all of this art and like stuff is clearly stuff that they like and isn't chosen for the styling. And they do have like a lot of black in their house, which I like. I don't love this like barn style door. I feel like it's kind of incongruous with the rest of the house, but I just like how it's like something different and like the contrast that it brings. This is more of their art. Yeah, I just love how it clearly shows their personality throughout the house, and I think it's like a really beautiful property, and I'm sure all the apartments in here are beautiful because this is just so nice. So there are way more houses. I just shut my hair on my laptop. There are way more houses on this website, and I will link it below, but those were just some of my favorites that I just look at in my free time. That's what I tend to do, is look at different interior design things. I would love to hear in the comments below which of these houses you liked the best, if you hated them, if you loved them, and what you kind of look for in a house. I think it's really interesting to compare these to kind of ordinary or regular real estate listing sites, because a lot of what makes these pictures nice is the photography and is the natural lighting, and that people have just done whatever they want with the place. And I think that there are lots of apartments like in similar areas to these that are being priced way lower because they don't have this aesthetic value. So hopefully this video helped point out which things are like interesting and what makes these things make the house seem more expensive that you could do in your own home. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and comment down below anything you'd like to comment down below. And if you'd like to see more videos like this from me, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching.